Welcome to the Poke Mitchell Podcast. Hey, it's all good, y'all. Today, I decided to just get on this thing, man, and just let you know how I feel about a couple of things. I've been inspired lately, to push on, and not let that stump continue to be in the way, and find a way to root it out, cut it out, whatever, that I have to do to continue. I want to say shout out to all the podcasters that seek to bring positivity to the table, to who tries to bring solutions to the table. Man, it's so hard, man. It's so hard, man. Understanding that, as a black man, that black people, are my worst enemy at this time. It's hard to accept, but it's true. It's hard to accept, but it's true. Our culture, the black man, seems to me to be the only culture that is not together. We don't trust each other. You might as well say we don't love each other. Not only that, how can you trust someone that, is always looking to bring you down? I give a shout out to UnderTheGroove, man, Bub, for inspiring me. But it's not hard, especially when you're looking for it. I thought that my inspiration would come from somewhere else, and I kind of waited on it. And I tell you, it's not good to wait to be inspired. It's one of the reasons why one of my favorite phrases in life at this moment is self-motivation is the best motivation. Because you have to find a way to motivate yourself. Because if you don't, when you can motivate yourself, you don't have to worry about waiting on to be inspired. And it's crazy because, as a soldier, and I look at myself as a soldier, I will always be a soldier to the day that God comes and get me. It's the way that I was bred. It's the way I came up. And I have no problems with that. It's just that, it doesn't seem that we care too much. I'm talking about the black folk, that we care about knowledge anymore. One of the things that tripped me out coming up as a kid, going to school, especially when I was started junior high school, and your brain is starting to look at and understand things on a whole different level. And, I hated my history class. I hated history class. To hear, it's one thing watching Roots, the TV series, Be With the Family. And can you believe that? That we would sit as a family, the blacks, and watch Roots together? It would be hard for me to watch Roots right now. I do not believe in that shit right there. But it was a different feel as far as going to school, going to learn history. And that when it got to the point of talking about the black people in history, it was always sad. Really with no sense of care. And these were teachers. The history teacher that I had when I was going to Pastors Junior High. I hated it. It almost that one class almost had me not to graduate. And it wasn't until my grandmother seen my report card, because I was still turning my report card in, and she knew that I was better than that. Because I was failing history class. The teacher that we had at the time seemed to me, now that I'm older and understand things a little bit better, was a racist. He didn't feel good or excited about talking about history unless it was talking about the whites. And not until my grandmother actually told me, boy, you smarter than that, and I know you can pass this class and graduate. And I did, at the time of my 9th grade year. We go through life different from anyone else. I would say the best times of my life was when I was in elementary school, a child. As I got older and things started to change, it's crazy how a lifestyle, a choice of lifestyle can damage us blacks. Because a lifestyle really don't come with no understanding. The lifestyle comes with a bunch of letdowns. When I was in elementary, I remember catering to any dream that a child has, whether it's being a football player or a doctor, police officer, whatever it was, man. In elementary, kids have all kind of dreams, but that dream quickly got taken away from us, away from me, and a lifestyle began to appear to all the kids, to the whole community. And it was one that was, I would say, devilish. It was one that was, came with a lot of hate. And you know, it seemed to, you know, that you were always trying to prove that you had more hate inside of you than the next man. You know, it wasn't until, you know, I had never had a relationship with God. And I know people don't believe in God, and you know what, that's your choice. But I'm going to tell you, you know, once I grew up under my older homeboys, my OGs. I grew up under them. And, you know, for me growing up in my neighborhood, I knew all my homies before they knew me, you know, because that's how it was. When I was a kid, you knew everybody. You knew everybody. And I wanted to be like them for the most part. And, you know, it was I wanted to be like them for a lot of reasons. I wanted to be like them because, you know, you could say a lot of things about the G homies, but back then, they cared about the kids. I know you hear people talking about, you know, the kids not being able to go to the parks and enjoy themselves because the gangs have taken over the parks. But when I was little, man, you can go to the park. You could play football, basketball, and you could be a kid still. But eventually, it was a life that came upon us that, like I said, came with a lot of hate, a lot of crime. And, you know, though it came like that, you know, there was love. I can't sit here and tell you that it wasn't love. You know, some of us had our mothers and fathers there, some of us didn't. But, you know, it was a lifestyle that was not conducive to anything. It wasn't really teaching us anything. You know, I done, you know, once I started to represent my community, you know, in that way, man, I touched everything. Juvenile halls, YA, penitentiary. You know, I started to, once I became a member, you know, I felt like my job was to protect my community because I grew up in it. You know, I knew everybody from the kids, the babies, to the elders. And so that's what I always felt that way. I was always that type of soldier. You know, I remember, you know, once really getting into it. I remember passing people up, but that was never an issue of mine. You know, that I was, game banging harder than the next guy. But what I did, what I noticed was that it was always gonna go wrong. Wasn't nothing ever gonna go right. I remember wanting to go to the juvenile halls because my road dogs were in there. And I didn't want them to be by themselves. And eventually I ended up making my way to juvenile halls with that mindset. But I seen my generation start to pass a lot of, of our elders up, man. And to where our elders couldn't tell us anything. And, I always had a G quality inside of me because I watched, my G homies close up and personal as a kid. So, it wasn't until I was able to realize that I needed a relationship with God, that I needed some questions answered. One was, is he real? And if he's real, would he be able to be in my life, be a part of my life to help me? For me, that proved to be true. And it's crazy that a person that I've never seen before, God, that he would be able to lift me up in ways that not even my OGs would be able to lift me up. And it has a lot to do with the ear that I gave him, the trust that I gave him, and definitely the love. And I was able to humble myself and realize how much that we was misguided. And when you misguided, what you think you gonna do? You gonna follow the trend, and you gonna play a part in misguiding people too. I could say this now, that can't nobody tell me that God ain't good. I had a life sentence, 25 to life, that I came from under. You could say that they changed the law. But I personally know my reason of being alive and back out here where it counts. Like I said, I give a lot of credit to the podcasters that seek to help our culture and not take away from it like a lot of podcasters are doing. I'm at a point in my life where it hurts to know how we're just taking each other's lives, destroying families. I still look to be inspired. I said look to be inspired. I don't have time to force anything. I feel the way I feel. I know what I know. I want better for my people. my podcast is not one that's gonna be a million views. It might not even be 200 views. But that's not why I do this. You know, I have a career, a job that I go to. You know, a nice job that I love. You know, ain't nothing like having a job that you love to go to and get paid. It's nothing like it. But you know, to all the youngsters, man, out there, man, especially to mine, man, to my West LA youngsters, man, you have to be willing to see things different. Just like the elders got to do the same thing. You know, we have to reconstruct so much in our lives. You know, we have taught ourselves to lose. That's why it's so hard to win. I'm gonna say it again. We have taught ourselves to lose. That's why it's so hard to win. And, you know, we grew up supporting each other on all the negativity, all the negative stuff. You know, selling dope. Yeah, the homie got the sack. Robbing and, and stealing. Man, the homie came up. You know, it don't make no sense for me as a homeboy, that one of my young homies look up to tell you anything wrong at this point. I'm not gonna tell you to sell dope when that's not what I do. I'm not gonna tell you to go rob and steal from anybody when that's not what I do. But what I will tell you is that very thing that I'm doing for myself. And that's go get a job, bro. You can figure out things just as, just as much by working a real job than, doing all the street stuff. You know, that street mentality has took so many of our lives, man. Took so many of my good friends, man. That mentality, man. Just that mentality. I can't line myself up with that no more. That mentality ain't gonna help nobody. Like I said, I respect everybody. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time to be trying to knowing, paying attention to who's snitching and all that stuff, man. I don't have time for that, man. You know what I'm saying? There's so much more to life. Like I said, we have adopted so much of the negative and implemented it in our culture. Well, we better than that. It's nothing like being a black man. Anyway, man, I would like to say, once again, I'm going to give a shout out to UnderTheGroove. Because what Bub is attempting to do it not only takes a lot of heart, because though me and this man have never met face to face, I've heard of him from good people. But the courage, to have courage, for him to be from Hoover, and to not let, not even his homeboys, tore him away from trying to fix what he feels in his heart is wrong. That right there is very inspiring to me. So good luck, Bub. I plan to be there with you in this fight. It's gonna be a tough one, man. But there's just nowhere else to go with it. Much love, peace, and always remember, self-motivation is the best motivation. Much love.